Hello, I'm Gracen Frank on behalf of Liberty Life newspaper, and welcome to another episode of Storm Chasers, where we sit down with Liberty Hurricanes to spotlight their amazing accomplishments. In today's episode, we're sitting down with Alyssa Knadler, the documenter of all things LHS. From capturing all aspects of the school through the camera to creating the layouts of our yearbook and newspaper, Alyssa is a master at encapsulating our greatest school memories. Alyssa, thank you so much for joining us.
Thanks for having me.
Of course, glad to. So just starting off the bat here, just for a little bit of an introduction, how do you keep yourself involved in school?
So I am a part of Yearbook, the newspaper Liberty Life, video broadcasting production, PJS, and Angel 34, which basically 3 of them are publications in the 3 publications that we have here at Liberty High School. And I am more actively involved with Yearbook because I am the co-editor-in-chief of that. So I maintain of looking over basically everything that goes on from our layouts to photography and all that cool jazz.
Mm-hmm. And just for the people following at home, define a publication for us.
It is video production and the newspaper. So basically I am a layout editor for the newspaper. So I work more with the layout design rather than more of the writing aspect. And for video production, I am actually the president. And basically I go to sporting events and just helping take videos for the senior video.
Well, that's very, very interesting. And with that, which classes have you taken at Liberty that have shaped your interest into those activities? And with that, what classes have been impactful to you?
So I took journalism this year, which really opened my eyes to how, I guess, well I can work with more like article-based writing, because I have had experiences in the past. I usually don't enjoy writing something that I am like forced to, rather than writing about something I want to do. And in journalism, I learned that I can write about anything I want to, and I can create it into a cool story for publications here at Liberty High School. So I thought it was a very cool experience that really shaped my, I guess, understanding and love for like journalistic writing.
Yes, it's like finding your own voice in a lot of ways, I would guess.
And for Yearbook, I really learned that I love photography and be able to work with that into like a design for like a final publication was a really cool experience.
Yeah, so with that, you say you've taken these classes here. How long have you been involved then with these activities?
I have been involved with the Yearbook since freshman year. I actually joined by Mrs. Gilliard. And I met her in freshman seminar, and basically I wrote on a little about me that I like photography, and she kind of asked me if I wanted to join. I'm like, well, this would be cool, so I said yes, and here I am now.
And at this point, were you already fully involved in photography, or was this way before you got interested and involved?
It was more of a hobby at that point. I had my own camera, but I really never took time to do anything with it a lot. I was more focused on sports because I did play a sport at the time, but I really think that throughout these 4 years I've learned a lot from photography because I've gotten to work with it a lot more, like in school and out of school. I have been in video production my senior year, newspaper also my senior year, PJS my senior year as well, and Angel 34 I got involved with my sophomore year when it was Minithon.
What have you learned through your experiences taking photos and creating yearbooks, newspaper layouts, and so forth?
I learned that I have a creative eye in my own sense. For like the past year or two, I've been looking at other people's photography and other people's art, and I noticed that everyone has their style, I would say, and I guess I had little trouble finding mine up until this point. But working with all these publications and my own photography has made me realize that I have my own style, and that's really all that matters to me, so I can work with it and evolve it throughout the years.
And speaking of that creative eye you said, could you define that a little bit more for us, what you think really defines your own style?
So when I take pictures, I focus more on like candids or like people showing like action shots for sports rather than people just standing and posing. And so I look for moments that you couldn't capture unless they were taken with pictures, like those small little moments that happen in between something much larger. Coming to these publications and learning and going to events around the school to take pictures really opened my eye of how much I can do with photography and how much I appreciate and love it. And it's really great knowing that I could work with other people in the school to create a publication like newspaper, senior video, or like yearbook.
Yeah. And with that, what's kept you inspired to continue with all of these throughout all this time?
I would say the number one reason that I am always inspired and actively participate in school events are my advisors, Mr. Bittner, Mrs. Gilliard, Miss Nieves. They are the best. And it's really great working with them because they obviously do something that they're passionate about, and they work with people like me and other people in these organizations. So it's really easy to talk to them about something they enjoy and I enjoy. So it's really nice to build relationships like that, because that's one thing I came into the school thinking about, of how I would build relationships with teachers or students. And I found that one thing was working with my advisors, and they inspire me to continue to work on these publications because they constantly give me advice to perfect my skills, and they just keep me enjoyed because there's so many things going around the school. It's nice to just have someone to talk to about it, and they work here and they have the expertise in their area of study. But yeah, it's definitely the advisors. Also working with a bunch of other students who are involved in these publications. Working with them because they also enjoy doing stuff that I like to do, so being able to talk to them and get their new opinions and their own creative styles really helped me to realize that working with them could make something much bigger rather than just my own style.
Yes, and with that, learning about their passions, have you found that really has been a strong suit for strengthening your own passions there?
Yeah, working with videos, filming, I should say, with Mr. Bittner has really been an experience, because I never really learned how to use those type of cameras before, and he taught me, and it was a really, really great experience. And Mrs. Gilliard with photography, I really never knew photography could be much more than just taking pictures, but you put it into a layout and it's something more. That's something people would go back and look at too, oh hey, that's a memory right there. And with writing, you can write about anything you want to and interview people. It's a really great experience just learning about other people's opinions and views, but I would say so, yeah.
And with being someone who's so heavily involved in so many different areas, how do you keep yourself together? How do you find a balance in your everyday life?
So I have to write everything down. I have so many different things going on that it's better for me to just see on a piece of paper of what I have to do that day. But it's only complicated if I make it complicated. And that's something I've learned from freshman year to now, that I can balance my schedule as long as I just keep calm and just don't make it stressful, because it's not stressful. I enjoy going to events to take pictures. I enjoy going to clubs and just talking to other members, and I just enjoy talking to my advisors. So I try to work with everything I can because I enjoy doing all of it. And I wish I was everywhere at once, but I obviously can't.
And with that, with such a job that's clearly high maintenance, very go, 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 you say you really need to work hard to keep yourself calm. How do you maintain that?
So I would say it would be talking to people in the clubs, because it makes me realize that I'm not the only one in the situation. There's other people who are experiencing the same feelings as I am. So I would say just talking to people, because I was never as close to people in the beginning of the year, and once you get to the end of the year, you're well, they're my besties. So if they're easier to talk to, and you have more of an understanding of, oh, I'm not the only one going through this. I could talk to other people who are going through the same thing, and if you work together, it make it easier for yourself.
So it clearly seems like this involvement not only brought out your passion for these other specialties and interests, but also really brings out your interests and passions for people. Well, we've talked about the past here, we've talked about a little bit of the present, but where do you see yourself after high school?
I hope to see myself at a university, mainly studying science. As much as I love photography and arts, I would want to study more of science because I am also very passionate about that area of study. But I hope to see myself still working with photography more, specifically photography, because it's more of the prominent activities that I'm involved with. And I hope to still be working with that hobby rather than just neglecting it, because it's something that's really changed my life, and I just hope to never let it go. But I hope to see myself at a university enjoying what I study and still having my hobbies.
Now, what makes you say what you want to continue these interests and specialties as hobbies instead of something maybe more of a career?
So I would want to maintain this as a hobby, because in the hobby I could still work with, clients, taking pictures of people's pets or family. I get to maintain a more personal connection rather than a professional like connection with people, and I feel like I would enjoy that more personally, just not being able to, or being able to have a more subtle conversation rather than something so intense. And I feel like that's what like opened me to photography, is that it doesn't have to be so intense. It could be more calm and just relaxing. And I feel like I would enjoy just going out and just taking pictures of anything that catches my eye, rather than having to take pictures of something that I would be paid for, I would say.
Yeah, and that's a very, you can tell, is a very thought out perspective. And being someone who really has definitely gotten to know all of these different types of publications so well over the years, how would you give advice to underclassmen who really are interested in these same things of publications, photography, graphic design, layout, and so forth?
So I would say that the number one thing that underclassmen need to realize is that everyone has their own creative vision, and they will all have their own creative style. I learned from my freshman year till now that finding your creative vision will take time. And that's something I really need to work with, is patience. Patience is key. And with patience comes progress, and progress comes evolution of your skills, which I have found out now, because working with these different publications for the past 4 years has allowed me to build my skill as well as my relationships with other people involved with these programs. And that's something that I really, really appreciate, was getting to know people who also share similar interests. And that is probably the number one thing I will advise to underclassmen, is go out there and build relationships by finding people who also share similar interests with you. I know it might be hard at times to try and find those little specific things, but there most likely is going to be a person who shares the similar interests. So that's basically my number one thing, is building relationships is the best thing that's ever happened to me at Liberty High School, because it really allows me to have more personal connection with my hobbies and people involved with the club, and that's something that I'll always be appreciative of, and that's one thing I would really, really advise to people coming into Liberty High School.
Very, very well said. And with that, that will conclude today's episode of Storm Chasers. I'm Gracen Frank, here on behalf of Liberty Life, and this is Alyssa Knadler. Thank you so much again for joining us.
Thank you for having me.